Stepping front kick, back knuckle. And...
I'm not a believer in systems. I think it's very good to pick and choose from different styles. I think we're very fortunate here in the United States. They have the opportunity to. In Japan, you have strictly a Japanese system. In Korea, you have strictly a Korean system. In China, strictly a Chinese system, and they do not deviate. Well, I'm not going to burden myself saying this is the only way. If I'd have done that, I would never won a tournament.
Uppercut, right hand, uppercut into the jaw.
If I'm going to fight a top-notch fighter, I would actually, in my mind, create fight scenes in my mind against this individual. I'd see where his strong points were, or how he would attack, and how could I defend against his strong attacks. Then I would say, well, what are his weak points? What can I do to penetrate that defense? So when I got into the ring with this man, I'd fought him many, many times.
Relax. Ready?
You have to have a base to build from. You just can't go in there and start having them kick and punch. We first start teaching students how to block, how to ward off an attack, how to ward off a kick at you, or a punch at you, or an attack down the head with a club, or whatever the case may be. Maybe the katas do not teach you how to fight, but it teaches you balance, it teaches you coordination, it develops your power. So katas have a very integral part of training.
3.
People that are very, very proficient walk a certain way. They have a kind of a walk I think that people can really, the guy who's going to start trouble with avoids. Guys going to start trouble really analyze the guy they're going to jump on. They're looking at him and trying to figure out, can this guy do anything or whatever. And people that are very, very proficient can kind of have a move, I think, or a feeling that just avoids it. You can never be the biggest gun on the block. I don't care how good you are at any age. There's always somebody better than you. I don't care how good you are. When you say, well, I'm better than anybody else, that's fine. What happens if they shoot your head off? What you're trying to accomplish in this whole thing is to be able to walk down that block without having to worry about being attacked. If you are attacked, then handle it to the best of your knowledge. But if you're not attacked, then keep right on walking.
Jeet Kune Do is Bruce Lee's synthesis of the martial arts. He believed in using what's best from each style. Karate punches, boxing jabs, kung fu kicks. He asked his students to use their creativity and resourcefulness, to let what works be the test for what's right. That it worked is best seen in Bruce himself, a thinking, inventive, and powerful martial artist. This idea of individuality is reflected in the teachings of his friend and former student, Dan Inosanto, black belt in Kempo Karate and expert in the Philippine art of Eskrima.
In Bruce's method or system, whatever you want to call it, because it's not a style, it's not a method, but it was trying to find yourself physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually. In other words, the totality of the person. I found his art easier to express because I wasn't confined to move a certain way, or I wasn't confined to being a certain horse. I wasn't confined to use a certain block. The opponent was my technique. He used to say, respond like an echo, adapt like a shadow. Bruce taught us to appreciate all systems, but not to be bound by a system. Chizao is a sensitivity drill. It's a game, but it's a tough game to play. It looks like patty cake, but it can be very tough. It's to teach you sensitivity. This is my way of expressing Jeet Kune Do through the Filipino arts. He once told me this, if I can relate this. He says, you're Filipino, Dan, but don't make the mistake of embracing everything that's Filipino, so then you'll miss the whole universe. We don't carry the name Jeet Kune Do, we carry the memory of our instructor. Just as one of my students, who's a writer, says, he told me to forget Bruce Lee so that Bruce Lee can be remembered. We got to go on. Bruce is dead now. We have to find our own goal. And that's probably what he wanted us to do.